Motion to join, start.
Thank you, Chef. Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and officially start then. Welcome everyone to our July meeting. For the Harrisburg chapter, typically the July meeting we don't hold, in the idea that the National Convention is going on and it's summertime, everyone's traveling, so I'm glad everyone could join us here, even for those that are afar. We certainly have a lot to talk about. Our last meeting at Hershey Park. Thank you again to Doogie, Chef Ben Bedard, Chef Ben King, as well as Rob Gordon. Really appreciate the day, and it's great to see all of you that came out. All right, so we'll go ahead and officially get started. I did say hello, welcome to, I think, most. We also have Philip joining us, our newest member to the chapter. I believe a graduate of Lebanon County Career and Technology Center from what I see on social media. Welcome, Philip. Thank you for joining us tonight. And everyone else, again, welcome. All right, so we'll go ahead and get the meeting started. If you could all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance first. I pledge of allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all.
Amen.
Liberty, justice for all.
Okay, thank you. All right, so something else I wanted to introduce tonight. I had mentioned in our email that we do have some a new format, so to say. I feel like we always, at the end of our meetings, start talking about new business and other things that are coming up. And I really wanted to be in the forefront. And as a board, we had discussed certainly the timing of the meetings, the structure, and again, how to keep with a standard format, but again, putting priority on certain events and other committees, things that we have coming down the pipe. So one of the first things that I wanted to introduce, I have been spending a lot of time at the Hotel Hershey this summer with my students, and there's this morning lineup, and they talk about their core values, and they just repeat things, and I really thought that was great, and I took it back to in class when we always started with the culinary code, and we always reminded ourselves, I see Anna shaking her head, we always reminded ourselves, you know, kind of what we were part of and what the expectations were into going into the kitchen, going into class. So I thought we could do that also in our meetings, and we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I would also like to share our culinary code. I had someone ask me the other day what the culinary code was, and this is an ACF member. So I thought it was important to bring in the forefront. Can anyone tell me one of two places you can readily find the culinary code?
Our website.
The website.
Okay, a website. Anyone, anywhere else?
Our newsletter.
At the last page of the newsletter. It is right there, front and center for you as well.
As a proud member of the American Culinary Federation, I pledge to share.
Oh, Chef, I was right there for you, but you jumped ahead a little too fast. Well, let me just go ahead and share my screen, and then I'll be able to pull it up for you. But Chef, certainly, if you would like to, I was more prepared a second ago. Here we go. Chef, would you like to read it for us all, please?
Me?
Yes.
As a proud member of the American Culinary Federation, I pledge to share my professional knowledge and skill with all the culinarians. I'll place honor, fairness, cooperation, and consideration first when dealing with my colleagues. I will keep all comments professional and respectful when dealing with my colleagues. I will protect all members from the use of unfair means, unnecessary risks, and unethical behavior when used against them for other personal gains. I will support the success, growth, and future of my colleagues in this great federation. That's very, very done. Well done.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.
So yes, that is on our ACF website page for the Harrisburg chapter. It's on acfchefs.com, as well as the last page of our newsletter. So again, I just think that always sets a good tone, just to remind us all. Now that version did come in 2010. You know, I don't know if that down the road is going to be something that is edited, but again, I think that's important. So thank you, Chef. All right, we've had a couple others joining us tonight. Thank you again for joining us. I want to jump right then to that newsletter that I was just sharing. Renee worked really hard on it. I want to make sure, even though it is from May, that everybody had a chance to review it. If there was any discussion, questions, kudos, comments.
kudos to Renee, and she did a real nice job in it. So
Yep. Well done as usual.
well done.
Thank you.
All right. If there is no other discussion, thank you for the comments. I'll entertain a motion then for the newsletter and approving our minutes.
Moved.
Second. Second, Michael.
Renee, you caught both? Okay.
No, I'm sorry, who was the motion?
Jeffrey, did you motion the?
No, it was somebody else.
It was Coral. It was
Coral.
Bob Coral.
Bob
Thank
Coral, Michael Harris. All right, the motion then to approve our May 2021 news loss minutes as written. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Motion will carry. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to the treasurer's report then, Ms. Scher.
Good evening, everybody.
Sher.
I'm actually going to give a report for June and July. We did have quite a bit of movement within our accounts. I officially, as we had discussed, of changing accounts, I opened an account with PSECU on April 22nd, and we got first our ACF rebate set up in May, so that could start to go into that account. We then transferred the money from the M&T account to the PSECU account on June 22nd. M&T account was then closed on July 14th. Looking at the accounts themselves, the savings account at the end of May had $5,349.35. That has gained 5 cents, so we are at $539.49 since we moved into PSECU. The checking account, the end of May, we had $3,046.83. I had an ACF rebate come through on June 9th for $47.50. An ACF rebate come in on June 22nd for $47.50. I did pay the insurance for our chapter to MMG Insurance on June 30th for $600. We got an APYS dividend from PSECU of 4 cents, and that was on June 30th. On July 2nd, and this is all within the checking account, keep in mind, I did have Venmo do a test on the account to make sure that I could transfer money from the Venmo app that I have sent out about the scholarship. And so we tested that at 64 cents and 96 cents. Basically, they deposit it in and then they pull it back out just to make sure that that's working properly. On July 13th, I did receive a check from Charlie Gipe, and that is for a dinner that he is doing with a group, and I think that's going to come up here in a minute. So it was a check for the Goodlings, and that came in at $2,300. PRLA rebate came back the same month, July 13th. The PRLA does pay us back for our insurance, so I did receive a check back from them for $600, so that balance that back out. I then again got a rebate in July 19th. That was just today. ACF rebate for $80.75. So basically that leaves the ending account at $5,522.62. With that, I have started a separate account. I can have a second savings account within PSECU, so that is where I'm putting all of the scholarship money. At the end of May, we had $200 in that account. And I am very happy to say that after 5 donations that we have had in the last 2 months, we are up to $900. That leaves us with a total with the 3 different accounts at $11,771.97. So, good news.
I'm just going to be the first to say, wow, I think that was more than John and I have said in the last forever. That was a lot of activity. Awesome. Renee, I hope you were busy writing that down.
I'll be sending that to you.
Are there any questions for Cher with any of that she just reported?
Just as a friendly reminder for those that do have the interest in doing any donations to the scholarship fund, It is very specific if you're going to write a check, how it gets written, and that is to ACF Harrisburg. You can contact me via email if you need a mailing address for that, or you can use the Venmo app.
Thank you, Jeff. Okay, if there's no other questions, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report. Let's start with approving the report for May, and then we'll do, I'm sorry, approving the report for June, and we'll do July separately.
I motion for the approval of the June report.
Thank you.
Second, and John Reese.
Thank you. All those in favor of reporting the June report, treasurer's report as stated by Cher, please vote by saying aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? And if we can have a motion to approve the July treasurer's report, please.
Motion.
To approve that awesome July treasurer's report.
Second.
Michael Herons for the motion and Tom Long for the second. Thank you. The
Because, you know, two awesome guys said it. No,
fantastic.
really, Tom, you're awesome.
Okay, thank you. So the motion is to approve the July treasurer's report as stated by Cher. All those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, likewise. Thank you. And duly noted by, you know, who motioned and who seconded. Okay. Speaking of, we will go ahead and move on into the membership in the community, which is, again, just part of a new format to where let's talk about what's been happening, yes, but then also open it up for everyone else and any of what we've considered old business in the past. I did send out an email, and just so that everyone's aware, it was not a spoiler alert. It did come from the National Review in an email. You just had to scroll all the way down and see Brian Peffley's really huge picture there celebrating this award he was about to get in 2 days. So I know I sent an email out and it wasn't official just yet, but I wanted as many people to try and be able to tune in for the Skills USA awards. And he was awarded the Outstanding Career and Technology Educator Award on June 24th, along with Caitlin Nisley, one of our apprentices, that placed and got a silver medal in the 2021 Skills USA National Commercial Baking Competition. So congratulations certainly to both of you. I know they're not here with us, but certainly we want to pass along those congratulations, as well as acknowledging Chef Charlie Geit for being a judge in the National Skills USA competition for 2021. He was recognized with a certificate of appreciation that I know we had sent out as well. Just a couple examples of those that, you know, are just spreading the word so that we can highlight them throughout our chapter. Also, speaking of Charlie Geit, I know he is currently working at the Shalom House in designing a new kitchen for them. Still very early in the work, so please don't quote me fully on that. But Bob Roebuck and him also became judges for the Kansas City Chili Society and are traveling around and doing different competitions, as well as this dinner that we'll be talking about here coming up as well. Hopefully you've noticed we've been doing the rolling out and really highlighting all of our chapter awards from last year. I feel this is something that should be done more in January, and certainly we'll strive for that next year. But certainly we wanted to make sure everyone was recognized. And I think part of the committee next year going forward, there should be nomination letters. There should be things to pull from as to why everyone was nominated, and then we can share that as well with everyone. Also today, celebrating National Culinary Arts Month, we had Chef Tom Long and Chef Steve Gump, I know both are here, that we're cooking up on a grill, and it's perfect timing. I was talking with a student overviewing, you know, just how much there is to learning about the process and the cooking, working with the grill. And then to have that video today, and I know a couple chapter members were on, that really was a great presentation. They did quite a few different items grilled, and I think it's probably going to be shareable, correct, Chef?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, great. So we can get that, Renee can put that in our newsletter too if anybody missed it. Well, I know some missed it because I watched it. Okay, but yes, that was awesome too. Did anybody else within the last 2 months, I know we saw some at Hershey Park, but within the last 2 months, does anybody have anything that we can celebrate? I know I just asked, but I'm going to say one more time. Yay, congratulations to Renee. I know she graduated. I know some other students graduated since our last meeting, so congratulations to any of you there. Anyone else? Anything to celebrate? Well, maybe you'll think about it as we go through. All right, So I'm going to move on then to national updates and then some new things that we have going on throughout our chapter. So the national convention is coming up August 2nd through the 5th. There are virtual options for you. I feel like really that's been overly communicated. We have the American Academy of Chefs induction dinner, the Board of Governors meeting, all happening on August 1st as well. At our last meeting, I stated that I was not going to go for economical reasons. Spending $2,000 to support me going, I did not think was a great choice for our chapter. However, the concern did come up, what if the Board of Governors is not virtual? I did press, I did not succeed. So the Board of Governors meeting is only in person. And furthermore, there is now a president's gathering where all the presidents are invited on Monday evening to get together for a meet and greet before the opening reception. And then Tuesday, late afternoon for a presentation of which I've already submitted a lot of information for our chapter, highlighting best practices and how we can work together and support each other. So with that in mind, I have changed my plans. I will be driving down to Florida. In any event, I will be there for August 1st as well as the 2nd. I am planning on driving and making it a family vacation, so I come as a package of 4. But I do plan on being there for the Board of Governors meeting, staying overnight, and then through Monday going to the educational seminars, and then leaving on Tuesday. So I've asked the board and they've approved, but I also would like to ask the chapter. I would like to get reimbursed for $489. That will include 1 night stay in the resort, in the hotel there on site. Also include an education pass for me to go to Monday and the opening reception, as well as parking. Does anybody have any concerns, any thoughts on that?
Good idea.
Motion to approve the reimbursement of expenses for
Second for me.
autumn.
Second.
I second.
Yep.
Okay.
You need to be there.
While I know officially not needed, I would still like to vote, and I appreciate that. So all those in favor of approving the $489 to reimburse me for going to the national convention, all those in favor, please vote by saying aye.
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 Any opposed likewise?
Hold their feet to the fire.
I will. And I say that cautiously because I know who I'm responding to. But if anybody have things that you would like me to share and advocate for, again, with the exception of the initials MH, please let me know and I would be happy. I'm just teasing. So prime example though, okay, of exactly what he's saying. So we had a Northeast Regional Conference call, and one of the things that I reported on that I think we could do better as an organization is involve more people in these meetings. And the Northeast Regional Conference call is historically 5 to 7 minutes of very young letting us know the updates, and then, okay, does anybody have anything to say? So I went ahead and proactively emailed him, here's something we have coming up. Here's a question. I'd really like time to talk about the President's Gathering. It didn't seem like an autumn patty meeting, but I interjected a whole lot of things that I wanted us to discuss. Let Michael know ahead of time he was there to talk about the certification exam. So I really, if there is things that I can pass off, that's what I'm getting at. Please let me know. I would like to advocate. I would like to pass off things and questions and things that we have. So I do plan on being there. And again, to at least enjoy the beginning parts, but then I will have to travel home. I do have final exams that I need to give in person on Thursday. Okay, so thank you all for that. Speaking of the Northeast Regional Conference call, I did follow up right afterwards with the request for our new National ACF Task Forces, 5 new ones or a new period here. That deadline is July 23rd, which is just a few days away. So if anyone is interested in applying, it does include an essay as to why you're the best fit for it. It does include a picture and other things. So it is not a 5-minute process. So if anyone is interested, I included that in an email that I sent out on July 7th at 10:57 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if anyone needs to reference. Okay. So in addition, I sent out an email about the Dr. L.J. Minor Chef Professionalism Award. That deadline also is July 23rd. That is a vote for each and every individual member to make. The communication that I sent out for the Herman Roosh Lifetime Achievement Award, that was only 1 ballot per chapter. And I thank you after 2-3 different emails that I got 14 additional votes other than my own to contribute towards our ballot. I did hear from a lot of different members going for, again, those main 3 even for Bobby, a fine man who has built a wonderful culinary program in California. But I did submit our vote for Thomas Ricinella. I'm sure I'm not saying that right. I apologize. But what I've heard, and you've all heard from Michael and his email and his support, but also that members have watched his interaction with student development. It's being bathed with his craft, within his craft. He's a great friend and supporter of our chapter for over 20 years and totally deserves this award. So while he did have the numbers, he also had the legitimate, genuine support written down on paper that truly showed me he was who we should vote for our chapter. So I appreciate everyone's votes, and I heard everything. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of who I did submit that ballot for and as to the reasons why. Okay. I will continue on then with the other items here. Again, I talked about the President's Gathering, the Board of Governors meeting. Everyone should know about the virtual options for the National Convention. We did also mention at that Northeast Regional Conference call our upcoming certification exam, our golf outing, key flavor. I even had chefs that were in neighboring chapters. Can I come and help? You had me at beer. I said, absolutely, but bring your work shoes with you. So I think we'll have a good turnout of other supporting chapters and just even their support in sharing all of our social media posts as well. All right, any other national updates that anybody had that we're not including in the agenda already, such as certification? I was aware. Okay. All right, then we're going to move on to our specific chapter updates, and I'm going to stop talking for a few minutes here. I'm going to introduce and let Renee take the floor, but before she does, sorry, let me just intro into what we're talking about. Something that I've heard from a couple chapter members, something that COVID has really shown us, that we all have great resources, but when they're taken away from us, like our kitchens within our work environment, we're really strapped in the idea that we do not have a place to go. I know, Michael, you've always worked out of John Gross's kitchen. During COVID, that was not a possibility. Heck, Tom and I could not go in there and do different things, and we're still at that point a little strapped. And I felt there was definitely a need. The board, we've discussed it, and we felt that there was a need for us to have a centralized kitchen that we could go and do events for. In talking with Bob Roebuck, the idea of the Ronald McDonald House, how can we get someone to help? I said, are you kidding me? How about our chapter makes a meal and donates it, not leftovers from someone? How about we invest more into it, but we need a kitchen. We need something to start with. So with that, Renee, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to you and mute myself.
Did you get my PowerPoint for the mentorship, or not mentorship, but marketing and, darn.
Nope, unless it was sent in the last 20 minutes.
It was sent at 6:15.
Do you want me to pull it up, or you want to use your own sharing?
Well, if you can pull that up, I'll just quickly go over the mentorship. Do you want me to do that one first or marketing first?
I wanted you to talk about the chapter kitchen, so neither.
So I have that in the marketing. I did put some pictures in there. So while you do that, I'll just kind of give an overview.
I'm ready. Go ahead, roll with it. I'm good. I'm ready.
Okay. So we actually ended up having our last board meeting at our kitchen. This is a little bit cleaner picture for those of you who were there. But Chef Patty basically had a conversation about the fact that we have this small, quote unquote, commercial kitchen, and that we use it for training and recipe development and so forth within our business. And we've been kind of discussing over the last two board meetings about a need for individuals who maybe can't utilize their work location or if it's a school location or whatever for community service events, things that they can use to promote the ACF and so forth. So we sort of needed a place that was a neutral territory, so to speak, without having to worry about a lot of legality issues and so forth as far as schools and businesses and so on. We happen to have this small area, and so Chef Patty, of course, knew about it because I had volunteered it for some chef or for student competition use for them if they didn't have a kitchen to use it. And so, of course, she approached me again about it, and we said, sure, that would be great because it doesn't get used as much as it should. And, maybe we can work out a deal because we needed some assistance with getting all of our staff trained and kept up to speed on ServSafe and some other things. So that's kind of really informal where we're at the moment as far as talking that through. But we, as my husband Neil and as NJ Nasta Inc. Have basically donated the space when needed within certain, we have to have certain parameters as far as having it reserved and so forth, so we know who's going to be there and when, just for security purposes. But it is available for the chapter to use, whether it's for Ronald McDonald House or cookies for some other event or PA flavor, anything like that that we may want to try to put product together or donations together or utilize it as sort of a central kitchen to work from and do, fundraising or just service projects. And so we're happy to do that. And hopefully it will help our chapter take, some of the things that we've been doing to the next level, because we're not always trying to find space to do it.
Thank you, Renee. And just to confirm, as a certified instructor and proctor, I have dedicated myself absolutely to training their employees and hoping that I have other chapter members that can join us down the road. But I did want to be able to offer and have that commitment in place with you offering us your kitchen. So that's not in the works. That is a definite dedicated partnership right there. I'm sure one question on everyone's mind is, where is this?
The kitchen, our warehouse is located right off of 743, just outside of Hershey, heading into E-Town. So if you're familiar with Adventure Sports or the Hershey Racket Club, as you're heading down out 743 again towards E-Town, we're located right behind Warburton's greenhouse. And although there is a small refrigerator there, the whole building more or less is a refrigerator. So refrigeration isn't an issue. Freezer space might be an issue if that ever becomes a thing, but refrigeration should not be an issue. When we did, was it three years ago? I guess we actually as a company did PA flavor, and I made a ridiculous amount of smoked Gouda mac and cheese out of this tiny kitchen. So it is usable for that. We do have a 3-bay sink. We do have the Eco Lab, the sanitation and the soap and everything. So I tried to make sure we did it the correct way. So we're anxious to, have someone else be able to use it and be able to help out after.
Any questions, comments?
This is a terrific addition to our arsenal in order to continue our professionalism. So thank you, Renee. This is terrific.
Thank you. We're glad to help.
And when we were there, this table here was moved back against the wall, and it was more out in like a U shape that we could visualize sponsorships down the road. If Hatfield would like us, one of our chefs, to do a demonstration for them, and it's really set up well for demonstrations and recordings, just to keep that in mind as well. Okay, so Renee, let's say PA flavor coming up, I got to make a gazillion, somethings. What's the first step to, what do I do as far as saying, I want to use this kitchen at this time?
All you need to do is email me or text me, call me, however, you can write me, you can write me a note, you can write me a letter. However you want to get a hold of me. And then just let me know what the date is. Dates are the time that you're going to need in. We do have a security system, and so we would need to make sure that we have someone there to let you in, as well as when you're leaving, be able to, again, set the security system. So parking isn't really an issue as far as, especially if it's later in the day or in the evening, that there's plenty of space there. So if there's multiple people working together, that shouldn't be an issue. We will have to have people sign in just because it is technically a food establishment, and due to the regulations, especially with COVID, we have to have you sign in and sign out. But other than that, you just let me know when it's needed, and I will make sure that it is available and communicate to our staff, which this is new for them. So you will see, if you're there during the day, there will be people walking in and out because they're the one side of the room that you don't see is sort of their break area where their coffee is. So just to let you know that that is, that is there.
Thank you again, Renee. We very much appreciate it.
Yep.
So I'm going to say of all of that, I think the email is probably best.
Yep.
She does also have her cell phone number, and all of it is right here on the screen. But in the newsletter, it does have her information as well, and then we'll have that the contact specific. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. And yes, we will loop back with the other two.
Great.
Pull it back up. Okay. Next, just in the forefront of all of our minds, it is solidified, so I wanted to make sure everyone was aware. Our next meeting, we are going to have a potluck style meeting, a potluck gathering, where everybody can bring their favorite dish, bring some sort of a dish, and we're going to meet and gather at Chef Nicholas Arnold's house, which is about, I want to say Campbelltown, E-Town. I'm not giving you a good direction. About 10 to 15 minutes, just going from like the Hotel Hershey, I would say, well, very close to this kitchen. Sherry might be able to give a better, is it Campbelltown, Elizabethtown?
It's closest to Campbelltown.
Okay. So the reason I was also pulling Sharon is she's going to be in charge of the RSVPs. So if you want that address, she will be much better prepared than I just was in giving you the exact address, but that is not something I want to broadcast all over social media as to where our meeting is going to be. So you will need to RSVP for it, in which case she's going to coordinate a menu and really kind of take over that end of it, but just so that we're not all bringing the same, tomato salad. There are going to be some other things, other, parts of the meeting, but at least for that part of the coordination, I want to make sure that we have that set up. And again, Cheryl will be your go-to for that. At the bottom of the agenda, I have her email, as well as maybe perhaps just setting out a generalized email of, we're opening up, and any menu ideas you have, just maybe starting the conversation email would be great. Anything you want to add to that, Sharon?
No, I don't think so. I'll send just a separate reminder out about it and try to get the ball rolling to know who's thinking they might be coming and what they might like to bring, just so we have a nice variation of things to share.
Thank you. And the time is set at 3 o'clock with the intentions of come at whatever time you'd like. Our meeting will start at 7 like it always does, but to come at 7 and end at 9 isn't as much of a gathering as I think some of us are anxious for. So we're going to get started at 3 o'clock. Chef was gracious enough to open his house up earlier. We have Doogie taking care of all the beer and wine for us. So there will be some adult beverages, and again, all the food that we bring, as well as I'm hoping a live chalk competition. And for anyone that knows me, I'm all about games and activities. So I'm thinking certainly like a blind kind of, what kind of flavoring is this, or, some sort of, fun games. And in any event, we'll talk about it, and we'll certainly get that all organized, but starting at 3 o'clock, and then the meeting officially starting at 7. That way we have plenty of time to gather. All right, more to come. So the next thing I wanted to bring up, something new coming, Cher had mentioned about the $2,300 check that was deposited that Charlie had sent in from Mr. Goodlane. So as the Budget and Finance Committee came together, one of the events that I believe, so Charlie Geip, Chef Reese, John Reese, Bob Roebuck, and Cher Harris, all 4, are going in together to do a benefit dinner. This is one thing that the Budget and Finance Committee talked about, maybe doing 4 of these a year. Mr. Goodlane has set up a date. I know it's in August, and the week that should not be mentioned at this point. We've got so many.
August 11th.
11th. Okay,
Yeah.
I knew it was sometime during that week. So there's a dinner going on. They submitted a check, gave a check for $2,300 for this dinner. Anticipated expense around $300. What this task force, this committee has decided, they would like to deposit $1,000 into the scholarship fund, pay all expenses, and then about $1,000 to go and contribute into the chapter. Again, I know it was discussed within the committee, but wanted to bring it up to the chapter, really not necessarily for a vote, but if there was any concerns, anything anyone had that they wanted to bring to the table about it, other than woo-hoo.
Yeah, the only question that I have for everybody, like we said, we have our goal is to get all the food donated, but there's no guarantee that I'm going to get everything donated. So if anybody has any connections, I sent the menu already. I think we're waiting for Mr. Goodling to approve it. It was a very simple menu, some hors d'oeuvres, a three-course dinner with a roasted beet salad. There's some scallops for the main course, and there's shares doing the dessert. So if anybody, I'm going to try to get all the food donated, but if I can't get them, I will let maybe Chef Patty know, and maybe one of you guys can know where we can get some of the food from, so I don't have to purchase and use any of that $2,300. That's our goal.
Yeah, Chef, if there's something specific, we can just send out an email. Does anyone have a seafood connection? Does anyone have this? Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, John, how many people is it for?
8.
Thank you.
It could be 10, but right now it's 8, but it could be 10 people.
If you want, can you reach out if you have produce needs and see if I can't pull it from my farm?
Okay. All right. That's a good idea. That's good. Okay. I'll put a progress list together between me and Charlie, and we'll let you know. And also the same thing for wine. I think I got the wine donated already. I'm waiting for a final answer on that. Because they drink a lot of wine. So I already got asked for eight bottles of wine. So hopefully I'll get that wine come through. So I'm about 80% that I'm getting the wine for free. So that's about it. But it'll be something good. Trying to do 3 or 4 of those a year. Though, if we do 2,000 each, even if it's $1,600-$1,700, that's a pretty good chunk of money, though.
Yeah.
And also what I wanted to note was, so Share jumped on board this time, and what I'd like to see, and I think everyone was encouraged with, is bringing someone new on each time and spreading it around the chapter. That way, yes, you have someone organizing, but they can learn and mentor into that position the next time. So I know there's a lot of students that would want to, a lot of us professionals that would want to be a part of that. So I know this is their first one, but yeah, looking forward to a couple more throughout the year that we can participate in. Awesome. Any other comments, questions? Awesome. Thank you again. Charlie is in his hopes for to be in the middle of a lake or the middle of a very wide stream fly fishing during this meeting. So if he watches this down the road, thank you again, and thank you, Chef Robach, as well. Okay. Next, that you've seen an email about, and I know will come up down here in the agenda, there is a certification exam scheduled for August 13th and 14th. At this point, I wanted to highlight, and Bob Coral, if you could share with us, I believe the apprentices are going to be going through their testing here, from what I hear, July 27th.
Yeah, that's correct. We have them scheduled to do the written on the 27th. This is their second go around, so hopefully they learned some lessons from the first time around. So we have that, and then you're right, on the 13th and the 14th, been working with Michael on this, getting a certification exam back up and running, and we got the green light for down at the CTC to have them again. So put that into the ACF. It did finally on last Friday, it went online. So it's there. If anybody's looking for any level of certification to do their practical exam, they can certainly go to the site and go ahead on there and register for those dates. So we kind of have it, set up. Michael he's the guy that's getting all the evaluators in line for it at this point. And I guess we're going to look and see how many people we're actually going to have. And then he'll make the call then to who he needs for evaluation for those tests. So, and then we'll just kind of, once we're back in school and we're up and running, we'll be able to pretty much to post them whenever we see that there's a need, we can put that up there and have the tests down there at the school. So we want to be able to bring in, other evaluators that are not within our chapter, to make it more balanced. So I'm hoping that, we get the apprentices through this one and, send them on their way. They're all done with all their academics, so they just have to do these tests now. They're actually, if I put in the paperwork now, they would get their certification through the Department of Labor, for their journeyman, certification. So, but
what is their practical exam each of them are testing for? Caitlin is
certified sous chef.
Certified sous chef. Okay. Awesome.
And certified working pastry chef.
Certified working pastry chef. Okay. Awesome. And I know we'll hear more certification coming down the pike, but that's great to hear. That's coming up. And again, just another example of communicating in the meantime, because just announcing it now, that certainly could have been worked on in the last month, which it has been. So I know given as much notice and communicating via email with the chapter. So I appreciate that. And we'll come back around with a little bit more about that certification exam here in a little bit. Okay, so chili cook-off was next on my list. This was something that I put on new business, probably the last 2 agenda items, or 2 different meetings that we've had that we've never gotten to. So again, another reason I'm excited to have this in the beginning. October 2nd is a chili cook-off that we participated in 2 years ago. It was the first annual Alex's chili cook-off for a cause. I had a student a few years ago. I know some where his classmates had passed away tragically. He was working at Greystone at the time, so Jason Viscount graciously hosted the first annual chili cook-off. The second one is coming up, and I'm just going to go right to the punchline. I would like to represent our chapter, please, in buying the products myself, making a really good pot of chili, and taking it and handing it out and enjoying the day. So I am asking for the chapter's support, and if anyone would like to join me on that day, thank you very much. But I like I said, would like to represent our chapter, and not if anybody does not have any reasons as to why not.
Go for it.
Thank you. I will submit the registration then. And again, I would like to just cover the cost. I really don't want to come with a recipe. I just want to make a bunch of chili and go and have a good time. So thank you all. I appreciate that. Lastly, we have the Ronald McDonald House, the last new item that I have. The Ronald McDonald House, I just saw posted on LinkedIn that they are accepting back volunteers. They had a group of 3 come in there and cook a meal. It is very much still restricted. They're wearing masks. You have to sign up, but they are opening their doors back. And I know some of our members were anxiously awaiting that. So I just wanted to put that out there. At our next meeting, we'll hear from the Ronald McDonald House Task Force, so to say, subcommittee. But I did want to make sure everyone was aware of that. And right on their website, there's opportunities if anyone did want to participate and volunteer in some fashion. They are not accepting drop-off meals. Hopefully we can start that again in September. And again, now having a chapter kitchen, maybe that could be more of an activity and a preparation session going into it. Okay, does anybody else have any new business items they would like to bring to the meeting before we move into committees? Okay, then I'm gonna keep rolling. Next thing on the agenda is our most current event. What's coming up? We have PE Flavor. It is just about 4.5 weeks away. So this is our annual fundraiser. Joining me on the committee, we have Nicholas Arnold and Richard Blythe. We have really worked to enhance what we've done in the past, enhance our involvement. And I know, John Reese is on the board for both PRLA as well as, participating. So a lot of us cross over to both organizations, but it is the PRLA, the PA Brewers Association, as well as us that are planning this event. I have already planted the seed that next year I would like to see 4 groups together, with the 4th one being PA preferred. And my mission and goal is to bring that relationship back to the forefront for next year. So I've already planted that seed, but for now, what we're talking about in 4.5 weeks, we have those 3 organizations coming together. So our big responsibility, what we've done in the past, was helping to recruit, bring in booths, or restaurants and vendors to have booths. At this point, we have done a pretty good job with that. There are over a dozen restaurants there. There are up to, I think, maybe 30 breweries at this point, plus a whole lot of vendors. There's a good assortment. There's some new restaurants in there, some familiar ones. So they really feel comfortable, and I kind of checked that off our list, that I think anyone above and beyond what we have, great, but the focus is shifted forward. So our second big part was the demonstrations that Tom has done, and I know others have done in the past. And what I hear all the time is like, where was that? Where was that? I've never seen that. And I know where you were in that court, because it was always in our eyesight. So what we've done this year is expanded this to let's have 8 different demonstrations, and let's elevate us on a stage. And our stage is going to be our booth, right? It's our presentation area. So we're going to have promotional materials there. We're going to have, we want to have chefs there to talk about what the ACF is and how it can benefit you. We're going to have a quick, easy button little sign up sheet to just put your name on there, and we'll submit it to the national office, and you can get your 90-day free trial. You don't even have to take your phone out. We'll do it all for you. You make it as simple as possible. We're going to entertain. My idea of a demo is I want to educate you. I want to make something really, really banging, but I want to have a whole lot of fun and do something really cool. So we have 8 different demonstrations that a lot are joining 2 of our chefs within our chapter. We are kicking off with Tom Macrina, our current national president, is coming. He also the executive chef for US Foods, which is a big donator, or sponsor here. In any event, he's going to kick it off. Then we're going to go into with Cher and Julie. doing a demonstration. All of this will be communicated, so I'm not gonna, I'll just talk faster if I try and tell you each dish as well. In any event, then we're gonna go into Tom and Renee. Then it's going to be Charlie and Bob Robach. Then it's going to be myself with Nicholas Arnold, then Bob Coral and Brian Peffley. Then we have Michael Herons and Ben Beaver, and then we have John Reese ending it up at the end, so everyone will stick around. Thank you, Kansha. I think that was all 8. So we have 8 different demonstrations. Everyone's making something different. Right afterwards, 10-minute demo, 10-minute demo. Michael, you hear me? 10-minute demo, 10-minute demo. So the idea is you have 10-minute demo, then, you know, the 5 minutes when we actually are wrapping up, and then we can quick switch it over. But in the meantime, we can hand out samples to all those right there, and network and just kind of, you know, chit chat with everyone. We're switching the stage, and then we get the next one started every half an hour. Right? That's kind of the goal. The reason I'm going over all of this is because you can start imagining where volunteers are needed. Right? That's kind of, I should have started with that when I started going over it. All right. So in addition to that demo stage, loudly saying, here we are, this is what we're all about. Then we also have food stations. There's 2 food stations, and there's the hors d'oeuvres that are butlered around. Historically, there's been schools to participate, being in April, as well as Richard Blythe working his magic of just for food out of Cisco's warehouse that he could to make up all of these amazing hors d'oeuvres. I can't believe he did all of this on his own. So this year, we're joined together, and we looked at what everyone was bringing. We came up with a menu. Everything needs to be self-sustaining, no tongs. Think of it that way. No tongs, no plates. Everything is in its own cup, its own portion, this and that. So we've created 5 different butlered hors d'oeuvres. We've created different stations with those hors d'oeuvres. I've cross-utilized ingredients from all the different demos to extend to full cases. I looked at PA ingredients. Just trust me in this. We have an awesome menu. So I put together a food list, pass that off, put together a supply list. I checked out the kitchen. We could use the kitchen, greatly stocked kitchen. Next day, you can't use the kitchen, so come fully sustainable. I've got a plan. We'll be great. We're going to have production days, probably Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, maybe even that day. I want to have different teams. There's a couple chefs that could work at the Hotel Hershey, knowing that some of the rest, and I'm only throwing that out there, meaning Nicholas Arnold has his responsibilities, that possibly maybe Brian and Bob could join in there and do something, you know, maybe, or maybe shares there with Julie. You know, I'm not necessarily opening up, please hear me in that. I'm not opening up the Hotel Hershey for anyone to walk in there. Oh my gosh. But, you know, Cisco, Richard's going to be prepping stuff and want a group to help him there. We now have a chapter kitchen some could be working out of. I'm hoping, you know, Tom and I could be utilizing our space and maybe have a few others. So that's what I mean by production areas, that we're going to need some teams and be able to divide that out. When it comes to the actual day, I'm going to take a lot of stuff over on Friday. Certainly if someone wants to help with the setup, but on Saturday is really go time. We're going to need help in one kitchen that has all the demo staging and that sampling. We're going to need help in another kitchen that's going to have all the hors d'oeuvres and the station food going. We're going to need people to flip the stage, people just to be talking. I know I'm saying people, but we're going to need individuals all around. Julie's already volunteered by being on the stage, but I was going to get to her husband has volunteered. I have had a lot of cousins that are coming in and helping. The way that Heidi Howard looks at it in the PRLA, anybody can come in and for an hour, if you can help empty trash or re-ice or do this, then you have the rest of the time free to roam around, right? To me, that was like the most open invitation to anything I would ever get in my life. So anyone that wants to help, so if you have someone and you're coming anyways and participating with our food, there's other aspects. You can either help with the food or you can help somewhere else. So I'm going to send out a separate email, but I know how my emails unfortunately go unanswered quite often. Is anybody in the meeting here that would like to volunteer in the moment that I can assign you and then communicate and reach back out to you? Got my pen ready. I love Barb laughing, right?
Fly me in and I'll help.
I feel the support. That's a huge help right there. I feel the support. No, okay. So you'll
tell me where you need me.
Thank you, Chef. I will need you first thing, and then I'm thinking the demo area. But yes, I will get you designated. I know each chef coming. If I could know what time you're there and how to, so like Michael, you're at 4 with Ben. So yeah, I'm thinking in the beginning you could certainly be doing other things. You need your time to go walk around, try things. I understand that too. Okay. So I will send out an email and hope to get some others. And you all know that if I don't hear back, I will just reach out individually and start asking you all as well. So I appreciate that. Okay. Thanks again, Barb. All right, I'm gonna move on then. Still with me, sorry, but we're moving on to the committees. I sent out emails about let's do a committee review. A lot of comments. We have so many committees. There's 15, 16 committees. We have subcommittees, blah, 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 blah. So one of the things was let's look at the committees and make sure there's value to it. But now that we're not in this hiatus anymore, what can we do with these committees? Almost like taking a fresh look at it. In my mind, a committee is a group, is a team that is meeting and setting goals and looking at a focused purpose. Even though everyone's going to have a form of marketing and education, mentorship, and there's things that are going to overlap. But when we're talking about certification, we're talking about certification. We're talking about competition, competition. Talking about junior membership, junior membership. Very focused conversation, focused purpose. However, this is a team to lead, to organize, to plan, not to do 100%. Can you imagine a fundraising committee? Who would ever join an events fundraising committee if only those 3 people on the committee were the ones to actually do all the work? No one. I'll answer for you. No one would join that committee ever. So the idea is not that Michael is going to set up and do every single certification exam. He's going to plan and they're going to be part of organizing it, but they're not going to mentor every single chef that wants a certification because then they can't be a part of the evaluation. And, you know, it's the idea of every committee's coming together as a team to then bring the rest of the chapter together and participate in, because every single committee is going to need help from the chapter. So what I wanted to start with as we go through these different committees here, I wanted to start with our executive committee, and I'll see if I can pull this up easier than that. Okay, so to start with the executive committee and what we are looking at now, I'm going to pull from Julie. I asked her on stage during a demonstration on the PA Preferred Culinary Connection stage. So what do you want to do when you grow up, right? And she said, it changes every single day. So I'm going to reflect on that and say, what does our executive committee, what are our goals and strategies? It changes every single day. This is kind of what we've discussed, what we've been working on, what some are different things that we're doing to work towards this. But this is certainly something that we redefine every time we meet on what are some more things and how can we tweak it. So I did want to share just some goals and strategies that we have. Engaging current members and increasing communication. Certainly the idea of our committee review. I have a lot of new committee members that have joined in the last month or two. One example is our competitions committee. I know Susan is on the line as well as Cher. Susan has been the chair of our competition committee. She is out of the state, but still wants to be involved and bring a national perspective, national, insight into our committee. We've had a member that was interested in being a part of it, and I'm excited to announce that Ben Bedard is going to be the co-chair of that competition committee, and Chef Cher Harris is also going to join on to that committee. So we have a strong team now that hasn't even gotten a chance, because I am only announcing it now and certainly saying to Susan a few hours ago, but I want to join everyone together and start what is a focus you can take from that point on. That doesn't mean competitions are only involving those 3. That's a team right there. So a way that we've engaged current members, Claire Dacco, I don't believe is on the line. I really believe she's going to be a part of our education committee. A way to bring in new members that haven't been participating or current members, a way to engage them in looking at these committees. Certainly email communications. Hopefully you saw, with Keith Taylor, welcome, and here's something you're in the news with. I know with Philip on social media, welcome to our chapter. I'm really trying to make efforts, but please do as well. Adding value to our chapter meetings to increase attendance and participation. I feel a lot of our initiatives have done that. Establishing an annual budget, increasing revenue. We have a finance and budget committee that's been working on that. Growing our membership. I think membership is a part of every one of our committees and how we can grow that, but I felt our value needed to come first. Provide support to the community, educational programs, industry and professionals in central Pennsylvania. Again, a lot of our committees specifically speak to that. And increase the chapter's awareness both locally and nationally, which again, I am personally trying to make a dent in, specifically with our national convention, and again, this president's gathering that we have. So on our agenda, we're going to go through the different committees here. I wanted to start with the executive committee and things that we are working on. And really it starts with all of our individual committees and what those purposes are. So tonight, as far as we can go, I'd like to discuss junior membership committee. going into our CHOP competition, and our education committee with our educational series part. Hopefully we can get to some of the other items, but again, I'd like to look at the time at 8:25. If there are still other items to entertain a motion to table those, and then also use forms of email communication to update us on some of these items. All right, so with that, I'm gonna jump to the junior membership. Is Faith on here? Thank you, Donald, I just saw. I don't think Faith is on here. Rashida, are you able to, if I give you this, nope. If I pull up your notes, Rashida, I don't know if you can hear me. Okay.
I can hear you.
Oh, yeah, you can. Okay, good. So if I pull up the notes that, would you like me to pull up the notes or would you like to just go over it?
You can pull up notes.
All right, there you go. So if you could go over an overview, Rashida, as to what you guys discussed as far as the junior membership committee goes, what your purpose is, different objectives, goals, strategies, activities that you're planning. And then right from this, we'll go right into one of your initiatives, which is the CHOP competition.
Okay. Me and Faith discussed the committee the other couple weeks ago, and we thought we needed to be able to, our committee should be able to give support, direction to junior members who are coming in, and we wanted to be able to answer their questions if they had any questions, concerns, even if they had ideas. We wanted to be able to, be able to express their ideas to the membership as a whole on their behalf. We were thinking of ways to get more attendance into our chapter by junior memberships. One of the things that really stood out between me and Faith together was that how are our junior membership people getting the information about ACF? Do they know what ACF are different secondary schools or whatnot, explaining to them what ACF is? I know me personally, I was just kind of thrown into ACF and then, kind of figured it out, learned some things about it. That's how it kind of happened. But I think it would be, we thought it would be neat if there was a way that we could even talk about getting a pamphlet together about ACF, what our chapter does to the different schools so that the students had an idea, being able to come to, a meeting, understanding what it is. Then with things happening, we didn't know, we thought maybe even just a way for it just to be students and not so much as far as chefs or instructors, because sometimes it can be intimidating to talk with high level chefs in the room with you. Even if it was just something like a back to school ACF night, a Zoom meeting, or some kind of platform for students to be able to come and just talk and express and why they want to be part of it. What can they do if they're a part of it? We also thought that it would be nice if, of course, Chef Patty, Brian Peffley, Coral and Daco, and some others, if they wanted to be a main person to kind of set that in motion where they teach so that their students would understand more about ACF so we could get those members to come. And it's just that even now in this setting, it's still sometimes for me intimidating because all of you are so talented and you've been around for years and you know what you're doing. It sometimes is intimidating to talk to everyone as a group. So we just wanted to make it as comfortable as possible for new members. And we just wanted to try and help in that way.
Okay, took me a minute to get the unmute button. Awesome. I know, it's just the controllers. In any event, back to school night, the idea of earlier meetings, I'm going to pull, Tim, were you involved with that? Years ago, I thought we had some form of earlier meetings that maybe at the vocational, each school could rotate and have something maybe on the third Monday of each month, or sorry, the first Monday of each month. Sorry, Tim, go ahead.
Yeah, what we did years ago was we really tried to incorporate a junior approach. And I don't know if national bylaws have changed identifying. We've always had a struggle identifying junior. And that was to accommodate all our high school CTCs. And then we had, the post-secondary. I think now it's all, kind of grouped to one or a student membership. So that junior, became, a touchy subject. But what we did was we tried to do on our monthly meetings, we tried to do an hour before. And we try to get the students to come out ahead of the meeting and try to, get things going, and discuss topics that they would kind of break the ice. What about ACF? What is it about? What about competition? And, back then, that's when it was, really starting to gear up. Things that, the chapter was involved in, professional development, things that, we try to present to them, even simple things like, resumes and doing certain events, and those letters of appreciation speak volumes. So it was kind of enticing. And it was really hard. It was really hard to get students to locations. Many of you know way back when we kind of really restructured, 90% of 1 year's meetings were held at HAC when I was there, because we felt it was important to stabilize, a location month after month that we could, really try to pull everybody back together, without traveling all over the place.
And Chef, well, I do remember that, and I was going to suggest the exact opposite, because I feel like we hosted HAC, and that's when all HAC students come, because it's in their house and they feel comfortable. So hosting at Dauphin County Technical School 1 month, you might have a big group for them, and then maybe the next month they'll go to Lebanon County, and then maybe they'll go to Carlisle, and maybe they'll go to York Technical, and maybe that's a way to get some of these other secondary schools to be part of it. I know York Technical is not an ACF accredited school, but I think it could grow, and knowing that they could walk out to their own dining room, have a part in the meeting, it's right after their school day. That might be more of an incentive instead of, coming to where then they're going to be right into a full meeting. But I see benefits to both, but I was going to actually suggest just the opposite there, just to encourage.
Well, and I would say nowadays, I would go that approach. I would go that approach to identify all the, partnerships with our schools and, be able to get these students over that intimidation factor and get them out and about to see, what each other have, and that kind of builds that strength. So, that was something that we did years ago, and that was the philosophy then. I wouldn't say it's the philosophy now. I wouldn't go that route, and I do agree. I think you need to get them out and about so they become accustomed to, again, kind of growing up through the chapter and being able to walk into, someone's property, like John Reese when he was at the Hilton. That's intimidating for our students. They don't know what's going on. They don't know anybody, and they're driving down to Harrisburg and, don't know. But I would say the more that you can get them out to different properties or different schools to participate is the way to go.
Well, Michael, he's been down at the school, and Charlie's been down at school. Tim, you've been down at our school. And what we've run into now, I'd say it started in the last 10 years. These kids don't drive anymore. That's the issue. And that's what we have for jobs. It's like we're going to have 40 kids this year, and I'll wager that probably 10 will drive out of that 40. you know, and I might be stretching that of what we've seen here in the past. And I asked the kids, I said, why don't you know, you got some kids are 18, they don't even have their permit yet. So I don't know what that is and where that trend went, you know, why kids don't, I mean, you're talking, and I know, I remember back in the day, we'd have kids, I remember hearing some of the stories, the kids driving around Harrisburg, you know, trying to find the place and got lost a couple times. And they laughed about it. They thought it was a great time. You know, they got to see Harrisburg. A lot of them never left Lebanon County and went to the Burg. So it was really good for them. But I'm telling you right now, that's the issue. We talk about it every year in our OAC meeting. You know, Hershey's always want, you know, like we need bodies, we need workers. And I'm like, I don't know how we can get them there. You know, we even talked at one point about getting a bus, you know, to get kids, you know, after school, picking them up and taking them up there so they could work. So that's one of the issues that we're going to run into, you know, moving forward unless things change, you know. And of course now with gas prices and everything going up, that's going to compound it a little bit. So just, you know, that's where we're at. The reality of it is it might even have to go to the point where you might be right about introductions and stuff, but maybe we might have to start it out with doing Zooms, you know, during the school day.
I was going to say that, or
You
maybe
know.
a combo, maybe going from different locations, because if we're out of school, you should have Zoom capabilities. I'm just going to throw that out there, right? So
Yeah.
maybe for the junior membership going to different schools, you have that Zoom capability and then you can keep it going and they don't have to travel. And the more we meet and we discuss, the more I think there's still going to be that need. You know, we need Barb to still be able to join our meetings, and she's not local. We need those that are not local to still be able to. So I foresee that will.
Yeah, but adding to that,
I mean, it's sticking around.
Adding a little bit to that, Bob. I remember when we used to send them to the Hilton for travel and A. I mean, they used to get lost. Their parents were so worried about them coming to Harrisburg. So I mean, you got to get to the parents. The parents got to be in it. I mean, if the parents don't want the kids to drive, I mean, the parents, because I was talking about that today. You know why it's a hard getting employees to work now. In the old days, when I was a kid, I was working at 15 years old. Now the parents don't want them to work until they're 20, 21 years old. So we lose that old market, you know, for 5 years. You know, they just, you know,
You're right, Chef. You know, there was many times where parents, you know, they took a vested interest in if their child was going to be in our programs. They actually, I remember parents sitting in the back when we were up at Hack. You know, they would come in and sit there and watch the meeting and everything, and then take the kids home with them. You know, so, you know, you're probably right about that. So maybe, you know, when we have our parent teacher night coming up here next month, you know, that's something that we'll talk about. You know, that if you want your kid to get the most out of this program, then they got to go and be able to be involved in what we do here, you know, outside of the school.
And I think today too, you got to use, you know, and Robert, I think you're right. I think too, to enlist the schools to, you know, host a Zoom, you know, the technology's there. And I think if we're going to grow, you know, students and junior student membership, you're going to have to use every facet. So I think the technology branch, because of the past year and a half, is there. I think it's going to stay. And again, how do you outreach to the most that you can with what we have? And I think if you do an open invite to go, and they're open in the school, and that's the other thing. You know, we're shaking the crystal ball. We don't know what the fall's going to bring as far as getting back in the schools, what schools are going to allow, what visitors, where are we going to be. So
I'm going to bring us back to that is Faith and Rashida that are going to go and tackle that and reach out to Bob. When's your back to school night? I want to be there. When's this, when that? So, you know, Rashida, and hopefully Faith would hear me eventually, August 30th is when classes start. So we're only talking about 5 weeks. So there's not a whole lot of time. So I know they have thoughts. Tim, it sounds like maybe they should get in touch with you and see what has been done, what your thoughts are. It seems like you have a lot to add to it. So not to cut you off, but I do want to be conscientious of time because I know we do want to continue on. So Rashida, Faith, thanks for tackling that. I think you're going to have a couple others, you know, piping in shortly here for you then too. All right. Speaking of which, Rashida, take it away with your chopped competition. We had 2 chefs with us that have done presentations. What did you do? What did you present this month? as the ingredients.
You're still muted.
I'm here. I'm so sorry about that.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I'm here. I couldn't unmute it. For this month's Chop Challenge, the 4 ingredients that the chefs were given were a ribeye steak, carrots, collard greens, and chickpeas. And we had Chef Tom and Chef Garrett who participated in this month's Chop Challenge. So we will
Rashida,
start.
I have Chef Garrett's pictures pulled up if we want to start with him, and then we can go to Chef Long's presentation. Does that work?
That's perfectly fine. That'll work.
Joe, you okay with that too? Sorry.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to start. You sent me pictures. It looked like in order. The last one is your final plate. So you
Yes, that is correct.
Vanna, you tell me when to click.
Okay, that is my hummus mix, pre-collard greens being added to it. That is the carrots before they were roasted with the ginger. That was added to the hummus. That is the collard greens being stewed down. That is the falafel mix with the collards folded into them. That is the tomato and cucumber fine dice that was added into the yogurt sauce. That is the finished cucumber tomato yogurt sauce. That is the roasted carrot and ginger hummus. And that is the final composed dish, which was a cast iron seared ribeye steak, collard green falafel, roasted carrot and ginger hummus, and a tomato cucumber yogurt sauce.
Very awesome. Rashida,
Nice.
comments?
Yeah.
I just have to say it was amazing because when, I threw out the chickpeas, I assumed, hummus, but when you made your hummus with just the carrots and the ginger, and then you turned the collard greens into a falafel, I was like, what? Who would do this? You know what I mean? Like, it was just awesome to see a different take on it because, again, collard greens, most time you just stew them down and you serve them. But I loved your take on it, and then even adding, like, the tomatoes just to the cucumber sauce. It brings more color to it, but I just thought it was an awesome idea. You did a great job. It showed me I can do other things with collard greens, and hummus doesn't just have to be made from chickpeas.
Yeah, that actually was my third iteration of that because I was trying to do a play. I was trying to do a play on Middle Eastern street food, and I was going to do a beef shawarma type, and I couldn't find bulgur wheat because I was going to do collard green chips as one of the final components of the dish, but then I had to make a play because I couldn't find bulgur wheat, and I was like, I wonder how it would work folding it into falafel mix. And I did a test run, and it was probably one of the best things I'd ever come up with.
That's awesome. I'm glad that this was, it was like a challenge for you, but then you worked with it and you made it and it worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and Chef Patty, I do have something I want to celebrate quickly. I have been promoting our chapter like a wild man at my employer, and my executive sous chef actually became a new member about a month ago, 3 weeks, a month ago. He had signed up to become a member.
Awesome. What's his name?
Ryan Osborne.
Ryan Osborne. I'm going to say I'm on the national office, but they are not updating it very often. So as much as you can share with me as you know of new members, please do.
Absolutely. I said
hard to make sure Philip was in our chat.
I gave him all your contact information as well.
Awesome.
Great job, Joe.
Yes.
Thank you, Michael.
Very nice. Yeah, good.
And one quick thing, as a now older person who was in the chapter in the very beginning, I know it was very hard being a junior member to get to some of these meetings. I made like 3 or 4 hack meetings, but that's how I met people like Michael and John and Charlie. And it was actually my high school held a career day, and my parents made it a vested interest. They said, you want to be a cook? You're going to your cooking demonstration at career day. And John Reese was the one who did the demonstration when I was in 7th grade.
I remember that. No, that's a long time ago.
Because I actually graduated with John's daughter, Kim. And John is the reason that I've been in this business now for pushing 30 years.
I'm that old, huh?
No,
Yes, you
Chef.
are, Chef, but we're all happy for it. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Definitely.
No problem.
All right, Rashida, we got one more on the chopped reveal here, right?
Yes, that would be Chef Tom Long.
Okay, I can't share my screen, Chef.
So down at the bottom, are you seeing the share screen?
Yes. It says host disabled participant share screening.
Doesn't that stink? I'm going to make you co-host again. Somehow you became not a co-host. Maybe only one person can co-host with me at a time. Let's try again.
Can everybody see that?
Yeah.
Did you click the bottom left little box for sound?
There is no sound. It's a PowerPoint.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so the chop challenge, of course, chickpeas, ribeye steak, collard greens, and carrots. I used chickpea flour. So, and this was my idea. Trying to get my slides to advance. My first thoughts. Ingredients, ribeye steak, my favorite, collard greens, garbanzo beans, and carrots. So I thought, can collard greens be eaten raw as a salad? Well, evidently they can. And what about chickpea flour instead of the bean? And I also thought, when I first saw the ingredients, my first thought was a Southern influence flavor. Chicken fried steak with warm bacon dressing. So to make the steak, 1 12-ounce beef ribeye, 1 cup of chickpea flour, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, ½ teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of granulated garlic, 1 tablespoon soft butter, 2 large eggs, and ½ cup of vegetable oil. This is my mise for my chicken fried steak. You see the ribeye steak. In the back are all the ingredients for the chicken fried coating. This is my mise for the chicken fried breading. It's the chickpea flour, all the ingredients aforementioned earlier. And what I did is I crumbled them together to kind of make a biscuit, kind of a homemade biscuit, except for the egg. So my prep steps were to take the ribeye and I cut it in lengthwise completely and got 5 portions out of it. I trimmed the tail off. I took a little bit of the inner fat out, and I tried to make sure they were all evenly the same thickness. And my station is the chickpea flour breading, egg, and then the chickpea flour breading. So when you put it together, it goes just like a simple breading setup, but it's the flour to the egg to the flour. That's the finished product before you fry it. This is my salad. I took the collard greens and I cut them about 1/3 of an inch thick and I soaked them in ice cold water. I took my carrots and I did kind of strips like curls. I added radishes. These are all the ingredients for my dressing, which is vegetable oil, red wine vinegar, hot sauce, because collard greens have to have some heat, black pepper, sea salt, brown sugar, chopped onions, bacon, radish. Salad and dressing recipe was a tablespoon of vegetable oil, cooked bacon, diced white onion, red wine vinegar. This is the dressing. A little bit of Tabasco sauce. The salad was the collard greens cut thick. And I put them all, after I fried my steak, this is the process of chicken frying my steak. That's what it looked like when it was done. I took my greens, I drained them real well. They were nice and crispy. Added my carrots, my radishes, tossed my bacon dressing, and this was the presentation. So I took sort of a long platter, and then I tossed the salad and put it on top. And then the dressing kind of went down over the chicken fried steak. Now this is a portion for two, but you can actually do a portion for one if you had to. So that was what I came up with. It's very simple, but it was very delicious. And I have to tell you, I wasn't sure if the collard greens would work as a salad, but they were delicious, really good. The sweetness of the dressing and the heat, and the smoky from the flavor kind of made them the same. The taste the same way as they would. They just weren't cooked, like they weren't stewed. So, but that's my presentation.
Very Southern.
Yum.
Very awesome. Rashida, what do you think?
He did a great job. For one, I would have never thought about frying my ribeye because it's a really good cut of meat, but I was looking like the thickness. I didn't think it was, but then when you sliced it, then I understood how you could, you want to fry it then. And the collard green salad, I didn't think I'd eat them raw, but you made a very bright, vibrant salad there. And almost everything you listed that you put in your dressing, besides the radish, I actually put in my collard greens when I stew them. So I guess it would work as a raw salad. And just like, I just like that it's very colorful still. Like even, when you think of fried foods, it's like brown, but with everything you put in your salad, and it looks great. Did an awesome job.
Oh, thank you. It was fun to do.
Eat both portions, Tom, or did you
Pardon me?
share? Did you eat both portions, or did you share?
Unfortunately, I did. I tried to get my wife to try it. She said she didn't want to. She didn't want to try it. So I ate what I could. But the salad surprised me because I did just a little bit of reading about it, and they said you can use it as a salad. But I kept it in ice cold water for probably 20 to 30 minutes, so it was nice and crispy. So when I tossed it, it stood up on top of the chicken fried steak. So that was the goal. So.
Well, thank you both, definitely. And Rashida, what do we have in store for August meeting? We're going to be in person, a gathering.
We would still like to have a chopped competition, but more of a live. So if you're decided to volunteer, it would be, I would give you the ingredients and then you would make it and take it with you to the meeting.
And we talked about more of like ingredients to build like a salad. Just
right.
Had a little bit more defined because there is no grill and not necessarily, we're not cooking out of a kitchen. This would be an outside at a table, bringing components, tossing it together. Awesome. Any volunteers? I'd like to volunteer. I'd like to be one.
Okay, thank you.
I was gonna say, I'm not muted, right? Everybody can hear.
I heard you.
I heard you.
Anyone else care to bring your ingredients and toss your salad table side or pull side?
I heard Barb wanted to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
How about you, Tim? Are you coming? You could bring all your farm fresh ingredients that Rashida listed in our mystery basket.
He's busy.
He is busy. Tim Harris, do you hear me?
Or ignoring you. He's ignoring you.
I know, John. John, you're always throwing something together. You can get off.
I'm not ignoring.
Let me look at my calendar.
All right, we're going to move on to the next one, but I'm hoping by the end of the meeting, someone stepped up in the chat. Thank you all. Okay. Thank you, Rashida. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'm noticing the time, 7:54, so we're going to pummel forward. Our next one is on our education committee. I know Anna is here. And then afterwards, we just a brief overview, and then we were going to go into Michael Harris with his third part of the educational series. Anna, I see you're driving, so I'm going to just take the liberty of moving forward here with your information. I believe safety should come first. So I'm going to share my screen as to what we came up with. It'll get there. As an education committee. So Anna's the chair, but again, because she's driving, I'm just going to continue on. So our purpose is to provide valuable education to our members. Very simple. It includes a whole lot. So what are our goals of the committee? We want to organize and manage education, both presentations during monthly meetings, educational events throughout the year, educational content and awareness on social media, and educational support for our students, our educators, professionals, and industry partners, as well as overseeing, organizing, making sure that as continuing education hour certifications go out. So initiatives certainly are to grow our committee. I have outreach to some other educators in that we want a captive audience of students to be able to feed us, you know, different topics that they're interested in learning about and things that we can particularly relate. We feel that both of us have further connections and relations with post-secondary students and professionals, but the secondary is where we are lacking with the two of us. So we were looking to grow it in that respect. We want to send out a survey, hopefully in August, looking more like September, I'll be honest. But looking at the presentations for next year. Do you want to host a meeting? Do you have topics you want? Do you have leads for us to reach out to? Not just saying, I want to learn about this and we try and find it. We also want to plan some educational tours, local tours, maybe a mushroom crawl in the spring of 2022. Bow Creek Farms, I know Renee had mentioned about possibly in October, planning a couple educational trips as well. And then our posts on social media. This is where we're going to cross over with the marketing committee, but we want to be able to provide original content. I've heard Renee say that over and over again. Well, I sit on that committee as well, but we need, on that side, original content. And I've really tried to beef up LinkedIn and our social media sites, and really original posts is what gets everyone's attention, is what gets everyone sharing and talking. So what Anna and I have done, and we're hoping to reach out to members. This is something that we're going to need your help with, but we pulled up all the food holidays there are throughout the month. And in August, just looking at August, I'm thinking, does anybody have a good chocolate chip cookie recipe? Let's put your name on it and let's throw it out there. And, you know, on August 4th, just be National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day. Let's celebrate with here's a recipe from one of our chapter members. If there was a demonstration that has already been done. So I wanted to look at these and think, what has John Reese cooked over the last year? A gazillion things. So which ones can I pick? Goal is to come up with about 5 a month to start off with. So we're going to come up with this list, see if we could post it in there, throw out an email of, hey, does anybody have any of these specific topics? Our original goal was to have this ready to go for today. We did not fully get to it, but certainly looking at this, if anybody wants to say like, oh my gosh, mustard is so my jam, August 7th, I got it, I'm sending you a recipe, I'm anxiously waiting. However, we'll send out this list. We'll come up with a couple ideas, at least for August. But moving forward, I want to promote this list ahead of time and get members to contribute to that as well. So just an initiative we're taking. Again, one plan that we have, and maybe that'll help us towards our goal, is to provide education, but also that awareness. And again, it flows with all of the other different committees, the marketing needs that we have as well. So with that, Anna, anything you wanted to add? She's not with us. Oh, yeah, you are. There you are.
Not that I can think of at this moment. Sorry, driving.
Okay. No, that's all right.
I'm coming up with the September ones. You want to send out the September ingredients at the same time as the August, so we are up ahead?
I say let's try and put August together, communicate, here's what we have for August, we could use 2 more, but here's what we're looking ahead for September. So I say we present August more pretty well set, and then we request September at the same time, yeah.
Okay.
And education coming up down the pike, we have September's meeting is with the Beef Council. That is a Zoom presentation. However, there's a really good possibility we will be at Dauphin County Technical School for an in-person meeting. I find the value in including those students who are currently not going to any chapter as an accredited secondary school. Introduce ourselves, include them. So September is, I'm working on that, and I believe that that's very far off, very close to happening. So we are going to have that beef demonstration. It is over an hour long though. So we're going to start a little early, and I'm going to make everyone aware of it, that it is going to extend our evening, but an extremely valuable demonstration, cut demonstration, as well as cooking demonstration from different members throughout the National Beef Council. Then we also have October, our Hotel Hershey meeting in person, and that's going to be with Foley Seafood and some other products being featured. November, good possibility of being at Cisco Food Service back, in person. The education, what I've asked for. I've taken students for years in my purchasing class on a tour of the warehouse. There is 2 safety officers, Tracy and Scott Tracy. They work together, and one is responsible for food and the safety of food, and one is responsible for the safety of employees. And really just, they have a lot of interaction and a lot of things to show and to teach us. So that is very early in the works, but a possibility there for November, thinking of something outside of food demonstration, other areas, aspects that we might want to learn about. And then December, hopefully our holiday party and celebrating all things within our chapter. Okay. So with that, third educational series, Michael, we have you prepared. Go ahead and intro us.
Yes, do you have it ready to go?
I do.
Okay, I did 2 videos recorded by my expert son, who did all the video editing and voiceover with me. And so we're going to start off with the lobster video. It does have a slide briefly in the very beginning. However, I'll talk to the 2 slides at the end. So go ahead and start it. It's 8 minutes.
I did already bring it right past the slides, so it's going to.
Oh, okay, good.
Yep. All right.
Go ahead.
Yep.
Hit it.
I recently had a catering for 6 people, and the host wanted a seafood salad with lobster. This was the first event she had had with her friends since March of 2020, so it was to be in a special occasion for them all. Since the chapter membership was looking for education on product yield, this was a very good opportunity to demonstrate the yield on lobster. I killed the lobsters before cooking them by inserting a French knife into the brain and cutting down. This will kill them instantly, but they will continue to twitch a bit. I cooked the lobsters in simmering water with a couple of lemons, bay leaf, and peppercorns. As you may have already seen, I've removed the claws and the tail. I'll hold on to the bodies for later. To remove the tail meat, I'm cutting on the side of the shell down to the tail fins, breaking it open and carefully removing the tail. The tail is spiky, so I was a bit cautious. To remove the meat from the claws and the arms, I start by removing the claw from the arm shell. I take the bottom claw and wiggle it back and forth to dislodge the cartilage from the claw meat in order to keep that bottom piece intact. This can be difficult, as you can see, and you'll notice the size of the white cartilage that prevents me from just yanking it out without pulling out additional meat. To get the meat out of the claw in full, I chop into the back of the claw and try to break it through to remove the back part of the whole claw, and then slide that claw meat out. I'm taking my time. It's important to keep the claws intact, not only for the customer, but this is also a key skill demonstration for a certification exam. To remove the arm meat, I use kitchen shears to cut down the side. I use my fingers and a skewer to help push the meat through to maximize the amount of lobster meat from the lobster itself. This too is a bit spiky, so I'm again being cautious. There were 4 lobster total. Here's the speedy version of another breakdown. Do note that I kept the shells and the bodies for seafood stock at a later time. This does not impact the final yield. This claw is plain hard to get. To determine the final edible product, I tared the scale with the weight of an empty bowl, and then took the bowl with all of the cleaned lobster meat and placed it on the scale for the final weight.
All right, so in summary, is this the first slide, Autumn? There we go. 4 lobsters, £1.25 each. Total weight came in at 5.25, and they were $14.30 a pound, which gave us a total cost of $75.06 for all 4 of the lobsters. When you take a look at the labor involved, let's just say the labor comes in at $40 an hour. That's we did 45 minutes for all 4 lobsters. That was $30 in total labor cost. When we add the labor and the cost for the lobster together, we get about $105.06 to include labor as an edible portion, coming in at $61.44 a pound. When you look at prepared lobster meat, which is generally frozen, and the premium cooked stuff includes arm meat, claws, and tail, you're looking at $532 a case for 12 pounds. Divide 532 by 12 pounds, comes in at 44.35 at a gross weight. What's not taken into consideration there is once it's thawed, any of the drained weight. So it's probably got an increase. The price is going to increase a little bit there. So these are the elements that one needs in order to make that decision on whether to do lobsters on their own or to buy the product itself. So next slide. Go back, there we go. When we did the clean lobster meat, the final yield was 1.71 pounds or 20.5 ounces. Our as purchase price was $75.06. I divided the 2 to get $43.89 a pound. To determine the yield, we employed the standard edible portion divided by as purchase price to get the yield factor. So the yield was 1.71 pounds. My beginning weight was 5 1/4. I came out with a 32.6 percent yield. My number is wrong there, and the whole lobsters have a 36.7 yield. There should be 32.7. I'll get that cleaned up. So if I needed to, if I wanted to know what I was going to end up if I had 30 pounds of lobsters, I would expect to glean about 11 pounds of cleaned meat out of there. And in that make or buy decision, what goes into that is the actual application. So is this something you want to spend time on when you're doing for a lobster roll? The quality of the purchased product. So is there a lot of water weight in there? And your available labor. As we all just heard earlier, labor is an issue, especially since we're still coming out of a pandemic-related issue. So that's how I determine the lobster yield. So we're going to launch into a clarified butter, peeled apples, peeled potatoes, and peeled carrots for the next video.
To run a yield test on clarified butter, we'll start with 1 pound of whole butter. Experience tells me I can get a 75 to 80% yield when I clarify butter. Here are a few of the reasons why we clarify butter and the 3 methods to process. Of course, it's easiest just to buy it outright. To prepare for a clarified butter yield test, we'll tear the scale and weigh the whole butter, place it into a pot, and take it to the stove to begin the process. Process the butter by melting it over medium heat and bringing it to a simmer 3 times with a rest period in between each simmer. This is the first full simmer. You can see the foam rising to the top and collecting. These are the milk solids and salt contained within the whole butter. As I simmer it, these will rise up, the milk solids will cook and begin to sink to the bottom. This is the second simmer. As the spoon moves the foam, you can begin to see the butter's clarity. This is the third simmer. As the spoon drags the solids to the side, you can see even greater clarity. At this point, you can continue to simmer it and take it further to the brown or black butter stage. It will get there quickly. This is the point where you need to be sure to watch it closely. After the final rest, we can determine our yield. I'll pour the butter into the measuring cup to note the yield. It is looking a little cloudy, but it'll settle as it's allowed to rest. See, what remains in the pot are the cooked milk solids. I'll skim off what remains, and I'll keep the milk solids for another use. They're a great flavor boost to smash potatoes or to toss with vegetables that they've been finished cooking. As I pour the butter to get the weight, you can see the remaining impurities. After processing, we're left with about 11.5 ounces of edible portion or clarified butter. We'll employ the standard yield factor formula to determine our yield from whole butter to clarified butter to be about 72%. To know what a pound of clarified butter will cost me, I'll divide $3.25 a pound by 72% to get $4.51 a pound. This I can then determine into a price per ounce and use it in costing recipes. Every cook and chef should have a base knowledge of ingredient yields to know what to purchase and to have on hand, as well as knowing how much edible portion is required to prepare standard recipes. Without it, one runs the risk of having too much on hand or not enough to take care of business. A recipe will tell you what yield knowledge is required based on the ingredients and how it's written. You can see my examples here. As we go through processing apples, potatoes, and carrots, we do so based on what the recipe tells us or how it is written. For example, if a recipe states 10 pounds of peeled carrots, I'll need to know the yield to determine how many pounds of carrots I'll need to start with. If I need 10 pounds of carrots peeled, then I start with just 10 pounds of carrots and then proceed to peel. For a yield on peeled apples, we record the beginning weight, peel the apples, and get the processed weight, or the edible portion, or EP. I'm not going to put you through peeling all of these apples. Here are the peelings and the peeled apples. Since I'm making applesauce, I'll remove the core. Getting the weights of the EP and the trim. Summarize for apples, we started with 27.5 ounces, a peeled yield of 19.75 ounces for a yield factor of 0.715 or 71.5%. We determine this by dividing EP by AP. For 10 pounds of peeled apples, I'll need to start with 13.98 pounds of whole apples. For yield on peeled potatoes, we record the beginning weight, peel the potatoes, and get the processed weight or edible portion. I have 32.25 ounces of peeled potatoes, I have 5 ounces of potato peelings. For diced potatoes, I'll begin with the peeled and processed potatoes, with a special note that I did start with 37.5 ounces of unpeeled potatoes, which is my original weight. There's a lot of waste when dicing potatoes on the face of it, but any good culinarian will know to hold the scraps for another application to maximize product value. Out of the 32.5 ounces of potatoes, I have 12 ounces of diced potatoes. The waste weighs in at 20.25 ounces, plus the 5 ounces of peeling for a total waste factor of 25.25 ounces. To summarize, I started with 2.34 pounds of potatoes, peeling them for an 87% yield, then diced them to glean a 32% yield, hoping the cook that diced the potatoes put them in water for later use, so it's not a total loss. For the yield on peeled carrots, we record the beginning weight, peel the carrots, and get the processed weight, or the edible portion. We'll remove the tops and the root base. Peeled and trimmed weight is 22.25 ounces. Trimmings are 5.75 ounces. These can be washed and used for stock later. In summary, I started with 28 ounces of carrots, or 1.75 pounds. Peeled and trimmed, gleaned 22.25 ounces, or 1.39 pounds. Standard formula sees me with a 79% yield on peeled carrots.
Very awesome, Michael. Thank you very much for that presentation. And one comment I got was we need to tap that resource of your son right off the bat.
You guys did a good job editing all that. They came out real good, Mike. Good job. Good job.
Yeah, he does a good job. Now, hopefully that's what everybody was looking for. I will take requests for the next iteration. If somebody wants to see one, I do have a fillet in the can somewhere. I just have to find it and then write the script for that and get that out there. But if you want to see a different product, I'm happy to do more. I just need to know what people want to see. So thank you. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, excellent
Good job.
Thank you.
And we will have those, I will upload them to YouTube, get them to Renee to put the links directly onto our website so that everyone can view them as well. All right, time check, 8:25. So Renee, you have 60 seconds to just let us know what the marketing committee is all about. What do you have coming up? Go. You're muted. You're muted. 45 seconds now. Go.
Can you pull up my PowerPoint only because it'll keep me very succinct?
Yep. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So the marketing social media committee is right now just Chef Patty and myself. And we've already talked about the kitchen. We've already talked about some of the stuff with PA Flavor. What we're looking to do is give our members some tangible things that we can promote to other chefs that are in the area, other employers in the area. So first thing we're starting with is some sort of business card. It's a generic, everybody can use sort of thing. So this is just a quick template that I worked on today. The front of it basically has our ACF ACF Harrisburg logo, and the back has our mission statement that is directly from our website. There's a QR code that if someone scans it, it will take them to our website. It also has our website address in case someone can't do a QR code scan, and the ACF National Organization website URL is also there. I did two quick price checks. Vistaprint, I can get 1,000 of these printed for $66.96. FedEx, I can get 1,000 for approximately $40. I'm still waiting for that. I may be able to get them cheaper because it's a local person that we use for all of our Boar's Head business printing. So I may be able to knock that down further. So I'll let you know on where we go from there. If you go to the next page, We had also discussed that primarily we talked about PA flavor, but these things will be able to be used going forward. We wanted 2 retractable banners. So they're the stand-up retractable banners and things that we could do to promote both ACF nationally as well as ACR, our local chapter. And these were 2 posters that I thought we're only 4 to pick from the national that we could find. These were 2 that I just felt were appropriate and eye-catching. Retractable banners from FedEx cost approximately $70 for the actual poster portion, the roll-up portion. The holders will be donated. We, again, have several of those because of all of the corporate stores that we service, and so we use them in all 40 plus stores. And so we have some that we no longer can use based on what the poster is inside. So we only need to buy the poster, not the actual whole unit. So we will, we're donating 2 of those units so that we can use them for PA flavor or any other events. And we can then just interchange the poster itself rather than having to spend approximately $200 to buy the whole unit and the poster. And that's really, I think that was it. Those were the highlights.
Okay. And I'm just gonna just to add to that, we are looking at getting promotional materials, the flyers, the everything, so that we have it for future events. We do, but we're also looking for trying to get a sponsorship in that, so that we can get a package, if possible, of getting a large amount of things to have. That's why it's important to have a little generic, outlook to it. And we do know that we already have 2 current poster retractable banners. So this is to add on top of that. Right, and these did come from nationals as to what they have out there already. Renee. Okay, so unfortunately, it is 8:29. Unfortunately. So with that, we have a certification committee that Michael was going to discuss again, the August 13th, 14th, as well as new changes coming up that are going to be announced this week. I'm going to ask that we communicate via email or table that item for the August meeting, as well as the budget committee, hearing from John as far as what our budget is that was set and what that committee's doing, as well as the golf outing and mentorship committee. So I'd like to entertain a motion that we table these items till the August meeting and further the conversation via email at this point.
Do we table those till the next meeting? Bob Coral.
Second.
I second.
Okay, so I heard the motion by Bob Coral, the second by, let's go with Barb. For communication's sake. All right, so all those in favor of tabling the rest of the agenda items for our August meeting, please vote by saying aye.
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 Any opposed likewise? Okay, then we will go ahead and table those items. The last thing I wanted to mention again was that our August 16th meeting will be an in-person meeting, potluck gathering style. I already committed to doing the chop challenge. Did we hear back, Tim, John? Are you both of you on board or anyone else on board?
I'll let you know. I got to check my calendar. I think I got something that day, but it might be earlier.
Doing this whole time. Okay, so pressure's off, but please, if you're coming anyways, bring your ingredients to toss in there.
If everybody's okay with it, Chef Patty, I'll do it again. I could use the practice.
I do appreciate it, Joe. Let me use that as a backup, if you don't mind, because we do have
no problem.
They're not here, and I'm hoping maybe Charlie Geip will jump in there, maybe some others that I will just be persuasive as well, but I do so very much appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so with that, like I said, Cher will be in touch with our next meeting. She'll do the coordination. I do not intend and plan to have Zoom set up for August. However, what Barb mentioned, her being away, and someone could always FaceTime and walk around, and we could still bring some other members into the experience, but I was not planning on having Zoom capabilities whatsoever set up for August.
That's okay.
Well, we'll still connect. I'm just saying the Zoom part. Any other comments, questions, feedback for the good of the meeting here?
Thanks to everybody for showing up.
Good job, guys. Good job.
Yep.
This has nothing to do with the meeting. I'm just asking everybody for prayers for all the fires that are out here. We're loaded with fires again. We have one that's larger than the city of Los Angeles right now.
Wow.
And they don't have it. It's not even contained. You're even contained. And We haven't had any rain for over 2 months.
Oh,
So
boy.
please prayers, please prayers.
Our prayers are
We'll
with
pray
you.
for you, Barb.
Yes, yes. All right, with that, anything else before we entertain a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Barb.
You're
Second.
welcome.
Bye-bye.
All those
Bye.
in favor of adjourning, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Bye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Feel free to join, stay on. Have a great night, everyone. I look forward
Thank you.
to August.
Good
Bye-bye.
evening.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.